Now welcome. Okay. What's up, guys? Got to turn the volume back up. Welcome, everybody. All right. Yeah. So today's theme. Hold on. Today's theme. That's not gonna work. Today's theme is. What is it? Ocean to sky, I think, or sea to sky. So I decided to challenge myself today, and I think I did. And I want to know what you guys think of that. So I'm going to explain. Well, let's start with the big picture, and yeah, we'll say hello in a second. I'm always a little. I have to catch my breath after I go diving, so I decided to draw my inspiration today from the sea and the sky, and I thought this guy, and I thought you know, I've done some like watery, ocean kind of effects before, and I've done a little bit of, forest effects and birds and wind and things. And I thought, what could I do to sort of bring these two worlds together? So the idea for today was we're going to start in the ocean, and then we're going to go up to the beach, and then we're going to go up the beach into the trees, and so that was what I had in my mind, is just kind of starting along the coast in the water. And I'm going to explain some of my instrument choices in a second along those lines. But that was the idea. Before we get to so I want to know what you guys think of that. We call that programmatic or referential music. And that's anytime we're referring to something kind of outside of the, just aesthetic music making. So if you have something in mind when you're making music, or you're writing a piece of music like Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, or lots of people's handle water music and all these things. If you have something in mind, you want to paint a picture, like Pictures at an Exhibition by Mussorgsky, then that's the approach you take. So you're trying to kind of emulate some of the feelings, and in some instances the actual sounds of birds, in this case, or the ocean drum, which is more like a wave. It makes more of a surf sound. And some of the other sounds I had, like the little bell, like the little Noah bell, and I was thinking of that kind of as a buoy, out at sea. So that's where we started. So anytime you're doing that, you're doing referential or programmatic music. All right, so let's say hello first, and then we'll go over the instruments, because there's so many of them. And let's start back at the top. So welcome, everybody. Bill's here nice and early, and Roseanne, welcome to you both. Urban Dervish, Sue, Mick, Daisy, awesome. Neil is here. Hey, and Richard, hello. Awesome. And Rebecca, I think I said Mick, right? Now I'm repeating. All right. Anyway, I think I saw Cornelius coming in here. And Sienna, awesome. Yep, there's Cornelius. Welcome. And Urban Dervish, if I didn't say it before. All right. So I think I'm all caught up. If I missed you, let me know. Whew. And so let's go back towards the beginning. So I had this drum. Can I do this? And you guys still see me? Yeah, kind of. So I'll move this over a little bit. So this is one of the Kosmosky hand pans or tank drums. And today, now that's how it sounds in the mic, but I actually had it plugged in because it has a pickup. So there's a plug right there on the bottom. See? So I plugged it in today, and it's just more of a direct sound. So let me just A/B it for you. So this is the sound. Well, that's in my talking mic. Here it is in my music mic. And now I'm going to turn the pickup on and the mic off. All right, and that's what that sounds like. The only advantage or the only difference really between those two is the direct sound is direct, and the mic is not. I think both have advantages and disadvantages. Like the direct sound's not really, to me, is not as full, but it's cleaner, and then the mic just gives it more depth and kind of more fullness of range, in my opinion. But you can end up with some like room sound and extra sounds. So that was that, and I was playing some things today. This is an E minor tuning, basically, kind of D major, E minor. And yeah, so that's what that was. That's the Kosmosky. And then over here, I have an assortment of things. I started early on with the key tree, and here's the overhead view. Here's the side view. Can I get it out here? So that's the key tree. This goes back to my days in the Yanni band. Actually, this was on tour with me. Every tour I did with Yanni, I brought this key tree. It's been all over the world. So if you watch the Acropolis video, you'll see this hanging in my setup. But I just love it. I love this thing. And the reason I picked this, you guys, is, so here's what it sounds like. Here's what it looks like. The reason I picked this for the underwater is a couple reasons. One is it's got that shimmering sound. So there's at least 3 connections that I made in my own mind. One is shimmering light, like light coming through and filtering through the kelp or down, on the bottom, and just light rays kind of dancing around. So that's one. 2 is it's sort of like, it could be like little bubbles. When I go diving, I go scuba diving a lot, and you see a lot of bubbles all around from, yourself and other people you're diving with. So there's all these little bubbles rising up all the time. And then 3, when I don't know if any of you have actually dove for very long or been underwater, but it's loud under there a lot of the time. If you're in a reef, it's surprisingly loud with all these sounds. It sounds like clicking, like very high-pitched crackling and clicking sounds. And that is all the activity that's going on all the time. It's basically like everything eating and moving and swimming and snapping and hiding and darting and, so it's all this sea life noise, and you don't see it necessarily, but it's there because sound travels like 20 times better underwater and many times faster than in air. So you hear all this crackling, and it's kind of high pitched. It's interesting. So that's another thing. That's another reason I brought the key tree into that. And then we had a little bit of what is this, you guys? Remember what we call this? I only have one today, but I brought that in. It's kind of similar to the key tree sound, but a little bit different, right? The brass ball. And then I have these Tibetan finger cymbals. So I brought those in just like a little hit. Just same sort of thing. To me, it's the cymbals and chimes are I would say they fit in with the sounds of the key tree and maybe the water theme a little bit. And then we had the Noah bell, right? This one. Just a little bit of that, but to me, again, that's kind of a water sound. And then I played a little bit of the flute. I had 3 flutes that I played. I had a low E by Blue Star. This is a low E, so bass E. And then I had an upper E, which incidentally, I got to show you this fetish on here. Hold on. This is another Wood Sounds flute, and I have an orca fetish on there, or totem. So that was kind of cool to use. This is also an E flute. And this one is by Brent Haynes, Wood Sounds Flutes. So I played that one. And then in the middle, I put another Wood Sounds flute that is a B. This is Monkey Pod wood, beautiful flute I got a couple years ago. This is a B flute, and I played in mode 4. So I was playing the same basic scale as the E flute, just on a B flute with a slightly different fingering. So 3 flutes, low, medium, and high ranges. And then I added in the ocean drum. This is an old ocean drum. I've had this thing for so long. And it has these, in case you haven't seen it, it has these, can you guys see in there? The BBs, you can kind of see them. Maybe, let's see, how can I show you? I'll show you in the overhead. In case you haven't seen this, see all the BBs in there? It's kind of hard with the light, but there we go. So that's actually upside down. Usually you do it this way. Right, and that's not the only way you can play an ocean drum. They're also good for It's old. It's kind of stretched out now, but wow, we might have to break this out later. That's kind of cool. Hold on, we got to switch mics for a second. That's too much fun, you guys. Wow. Okay, so that's the ocean drum. And then, of course, I had an assortment of bird whistles and things here. They're just an assortment of bird whistles, different sounds. And the little, I love this one, right? The little nightingale or whatever. I don't think it's a nightingale, actually. It's just some little bird sound, but it's a piece of wood. I know it's tiny, sorry. It's a piece of wood, and this is a metal thing, and then there's rosin in there, and it just squeaks. All right, kind of clever. And then I had a wind gong, so I brought out the wind gong. Wind gong is a real thin one, right? And I played it with the rubber mallet. This isn't the greatest mallet either. It's kind of dry, which is not ideal, but let's see if I can. Let's go up here. It's also the wind, not to make excuses, but the wind gong, it's not the easiest gong to do the Super Ball mallet on. It's easy because it's kind of rough. And this mallet is not very rubbery. You want to get like a nice new rubber mallet if you're going to do that. But a smooth gong surface is easier, but I can't really hold up my big symphonic gong, and there's no mount back here, and I needed it to kind of be, so I could manipulate it. So I went with the wind gong for the what sound, and we put a little bit of that in there. I think I erased it. Let me see. Is it here? No, I think I got rid of it because I replaced the tracks of the ocean with the tracks of the sky. So, all right. What else? You heard right there some cajon. You heard a little voice in there. And I think that's about it. Is there anything I'm missing? Anything you guys remember that I didn't mention just now? Let me know. And let me see. Do I have anything left for Guess the Sound? I'm not sure I do. We might actually skip the Guess the Sound today, unless I can see something really clear. Is that okay with you guys if we skip the Guess the Sound today? Because I played everything. I could have played. Look, I could have played these guys. Look how cute these guys are. I want to show you these. Can you see these? Look at these little frogs. Just for fun, let's hear these guys. So these could be these could also be part of the Gimme 5 today. Wow, that is really high. I think they're almost the same. Let's try a different size. Ooh. Yeah, so that could be part of if you guys want to have a environmental landscape thing, we could do that. Bill, it's Kermit the Frog. Yeah, something like that. Daisy asks, can you clack them together? You probably could, but I don't recommend that because the frogs are not usually like a real hardwood. They're usually kind of softwood, I think, because it's easier to carve them. If you do have a hardwood frog or even a semi-hardwood frog, I would hold on to it because it's probably kind of rare. So I wouldn't recommend clacking them together. They're not really made for that, but you just hold it by the hind legs And it's really a scraper. You know, they're really for scraping, not even for striking. You could strike them like a little tiny wood block. But in my experience, like that one's okay. But they're really made for more like, we call them a frog rasper, right? Rasper. Oh, I could have played this. This is a nice one. I got this in, I think I picked this up in Aix-en-Provence when I was in southern France, and I went to this little art show, and somebody was selling these whistles. I mean, in fact, all the light colored ones, like all these three. So let me play these for you. They're like, this one is sort of a, and then there's just a straight like, and then this one, I call this the it's like a dove or an owl. Actually, we have a horned owl that's been hanging around the house at night. They pretty much sound like that. They're a little lower pitched, but kind of like that. So we'll call that the owl sound. All right. I think that's about it. Anything else I missed? So Daisy, you said you have a hardwood one. Not seen it for ages. Oh, from the Cook Islands. Interesting. All right. And Roseanne said I have 6 frogs, all different sizes. Nice. Oh, biggest one's about 8 inches. That's a good size, right? That's big. That's a big mother. Bullfrog. But really fun to do that, like with your looper. If you do, like you could do what we call a frog swamp, right? And just get them all looping. Hello, Angel. Welcome. Angel, you should go back and watch the beginning. Go back and watch the beginning of the show whenever. Or maybe you caught up. I know if you start later, you can like forward it or whatever. But I'm going to go watch the beginning because I want to hear what it sounded like. Because, as you know, I was busy in the water at the beginning of the show. All right, so I think we're all caught up. I do want to, while you guys are doing Give Me 5 stuff, I could take my headphones off for a second. While you guys are doing Give Me 5 things, so yeah, let's keep it to roughly what I have here. I do have a conga drum right there, but I have the cajon, and I have the kalimba here. But this drum is a E minor, so if you want the tongue drum or the steel tongue drum, just keep in mind that that's an E minor. So I can't play, for example, I couldn't play the tongue drum and the kalimba together because they're not in the same tuning, unless you want to hear E minor and D minor at the same time, but it's going to be kind of weird. I could alternate them, but probably better to pick one or the other. Yeah, and as Roseanne just typed in the chat, all the Tuesday Musedays, all the Tuesday Musedays are all there under the live tab and on the channel. You guys probably know that, but if you want, it might be fun to go back if you haven't seen them. Just go back, and I would recommend watching the beginning and the ending. So watch the opening music, which is usually about 10 minutes, sometimes longer, and then the Gimme 5 at the end, which is between, I'd say, 5 and 10 minutes. You might get some inspiration. So I want to mention that I just posted a new lesson, or course actually, and this was a suggestion or request by Roseanne, who asked for something on effects, specifically like reverb and delay and echo. And so I did. I did as much as I could, within reason, because as those of you who do your own mixing or have worked with these effects, you know that you can kind of get really down into a rabbit hole on these things. But we got a Gimme 5 suggestion from Cornelius. That's cool. So if you're interested in learning about what the effects are, like what is reverb, what is delay, what is echo, what's the difference between delay and echo, and how would you use them, what's chorus, flanger, tremolo. I did a ring modulator kind of effect. I covered a lot of pretty common effects. Not every single effect there is, but definitely the main like 3 or 4 that you probably would use, either live or recording or mixing. And then what is it? How do you set it? What can you set on it? And what does it sound like when you change the settings? And then, at least in my own mind, I wanted to give you, and I think I did an okay job with it. I wanted to give you an idea of how to use them, what I call typically and tastefully, so you don't overuse them or use them too much. And then also at the same time, because we did this last week and a little bit today, is kind of like use them as a musical tool. So use them really purposefully, and then that way you can crank them up and use like a ton of reverb or a lot of delay or a timed delay, and play it in rhythm and play with different kinds of timings of delay or echo or chorus or whatever it is. So you can still use any effect in a whole range. There's no right or wrong. It's just what's your goal and what's your aesthetic that you're going for. But if you're interested in that kind of stuff, that is a course on our Patreon page for the courses tier or higher patrons. You would need to become not only a member patron, but also at the courses tier. So you can go look at that. And I recently put out a video on the channel. I think it's the last video I published that has a link to that and a little bit of a description, kind of like what I just said. So if you're interested in that, go see it over there. Welcome. What is that? J something to Jan. Dan, what does that say? JTF to Dan. Welcome. Nice of you to join us today. And anyone else have a Give Me 5 suggestion? Daisy's like, I need Cornelius's suggestions. So far, he suggested owl flute, little frogs, key tree, kalimba, and cajon. Okay, yeah, so that could be cool. And you know me, I'd probably throw a flute in there just to mix it up, because I do like the looping things, but then it's just that once everything's looped, then I could do something else, like play a flute over it or some other instrument. Okay, so looks like Cornelius is our Give Me 5. That's awesome. Okay, so owl flute. So let's identify them. So this is the owl flute, we're calling it. And then the little frogs, we've got 2 of them, little frog raspers. And the key tree, right, which is here. By the way, if you guys want to make one of these, it's pretty easy. And here's what I learned when I made this, and I think I've talked about this before, but let me give you my pro tip while we're all here. And actually, I think it's gonna be continually harder to get all these keys because people are using less and less metal keys these days. Like, forget car keys; those are gone. Those were gone a while ago. But if you want to make a key tree, there's 2 things. One is I would recommend not using all the same kind of key, because I did that. I made 2 key trees. One of them has all the same key, right? It's all in one key. No, it's all the same type of key. And I just wanted to try, because I thought, well, maybe it'll sound cool. I'll like it. And it sounds good, but I like this one better. And this one has all different keys. Maybe not every single one, but it has at least like 10 different types of keys. So different sizes, different metals. All right, so I recommend a diverse selection of keys. And then what I did here is this is like fishing line, and I just put it in here with some little metal brads, and I put a piece of wood at the top. It's got a hole in it here, so you can mount it. But then here's the key, you guys. When you get to the bottom, because I also made this mistake, I think on the other one, you've got to leave a little extra line down here at the bottom. Otherwise, your keys are going to be hitting the bottom piece of wood, and you do want to have a piece of wood at the bottom to keep all this from getting tangled. So if you just do the top and you have a bunch, you can imagine if you just do lines going down, just hanging there, it's going to be a mess. So you want to secure all of the lines the same at the bottom as you do at the top, but leave an extra, like, see how much there is it's at least, like, what is that, like 4 inches or whatever, 10 centimeters or something like that. And some of these are kind of close, and they do occasionally hit, but it's pretty good. It's not too bad. All right, and that's the key tree. So we'll do that, and then we'll have the kalimba, and that's this little tiny kalimba. That's a D minor. So we'll do that one. And what else? Oh, cajon. All right. Yeah. Okay. So we'll do that, and I think what I'm going to do. So I'm thinking about how I want to arrange this, because I've got a few instruments that are sort of, I think of as ambient sounds, like the key chime, the owl, and the frogs are all sort of more like sound effects. And the kalimba could be, but then the cajon is more rhythmic. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan on doing kind of 2 sections at least. Maybe we'll do 3 sections. And so we'll do an intro, and we'll build it up with the frogs and the key tree and the owl sound. And then maybe we'll get into something a little more rhythmic and we'll shift gears a little bit, and we'll do the kalimba and the cajon together. And I'll probably want to reach over and grab this flute, which is a D minor. Let's swap these. I like to put things, get ready, as much as possible ahead of time. So I'll probably grab that one, and then play a little bit of D minor flute over the top. Okay. Should we do it? Anything else? Yeah, Angel said the variants make it sound much more organic. I agree. Yeah, so I used fishing line, but honestly, you could use, you know how sometimes people, well, it kind of is the same thing, but you know how sometimes people get paracord and then they take out the inside strands of the paracord? That could also be really good, probably stronger than this fishing line, but honestly, if you use a medium fishing line, you'll be fine. You're not pulling it apart. I've had this thing for years, and like I said, it went all over the world. What I do is I lay it down on a towel, and I just roll it up in the towel, and then it goes in my case, and you're not going to hurt it. All right. Let's get ready, you guys. Here we go. I'm going to look at, so I'm going to erase all that. Although I want to play a little bit of the last loop thing before we erase it forever. Here it is. I like that. Wow. All right. I hate to erase that, but you know what? Maybe I'll save it. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to put this somewhere else. Because I kind of like that. That's nice. All right. Let me see. If I can go up here, and then, yeah. So, can you guys do me a favor and tell me if you can hear reverb now, and then not now, and then now, and not now. Did you guys hear the reverb? I'm asking you that because I did a video the other day, and I had settings, and I thought I could hear the effects in the recording. In other words, I thought the effects were going out, but they weren't. So I had to redo it. Okay, so we have effects. All right, good. All right, so I'm going to set this up. Just picking a tempo. And my neighbor's dog is very excited. Just a second. All right. So it really pays to, if you're going to do any looping or recording, just pays to check all your settings ahead of time, because sometimes it's not what you think it is. All right, and let's see. Okay. I think I have what I need. And let's start with this. everybody. Thanks for joining this week. I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Cornelius, for the suggestion for the Gimme 5. And thanks to Roseanne, as always, for hosting, and everybody for showing up. And we'll see you guys next week. If you have any requests for any Gimme 5 content, message me through Patreon. And if you haven't already, please join over at patreon.com/Kalani and support this channel and all the many, many, many hundreds of lessons that we have over there, all the videos here on YouTube, which is over 1,000, and hundreds more that are exclusive at patreon.com/Kalani. We appreciate the support, and some of you are patrons, and I appreciate that. Have a great evening or morning or wherever you are, and I'll see you guys next week, if not sooner. Have a good evening. We'll leave you with a little bit of music.
World Drum Club.